Welcome everyone, I'm Chef Ahlex here on behalf of 2-1 Audio, and we are starting a brand new channel with all new content called Tuesday Tips, and it's focused mainly around music production and audio engineering. So today we'll be taking an in-depth look into how to make an Afrobeat. Let's do it. Alright, so I have this session, I just made this. I don't actually know how I usually start. I feel like 50% of the time I start with some chords and 50% of the time I start with drums. I think most people start with the chords or the melody, but I just love drums so much that sometimes that's what comes to me first. But we'll start with some chords this time. Just select all. If you want to select all, use Command A. And to quantize, you can either click this button or you can just press Q. They do the same thing because it says Q. The good thing to check is just this 16th note. What are you quantizing it to? What portion of the grid? What portion of the grid? Sorry. Okay, so just save this. Give this a name. Give this Afrobeat Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. Yeah. Pretty nice and chill. So with any of these Logic software instruments, up here you can actually go into the instrument itself and change anything you want. So in this case, this magneto, it says it's an electric piano, but what's generating it is a synthesizer, ES2. Whereas some of these other ones, they're actually being generated by an instrument that is called vintage electric piano. So there you can go in, if you click on that, and you can mess with the different controls. But for the magneto, I don't know, this is being created by the ES2, which is a synthesizer. So if you want to slightly alter the sound of it or something, you can just click on here and open up basically whatever is generating the sound, because it's all being generated. It's all not real. Everything is fake. I wanted to modify the attack, but I don't think I'm going to do it in ES2. I'm just going to apply a little filter. Sometimes you can do it in the, it just depends on how you want it to sound. What I often do is once I get a decent sounding chords, I will bounce it in place so that now these are they're both combined and they're now audio, as you can see. This is no longer MIDI. This is set. This is audio. Audio is not MIDI. MIDI is not audio. I don't know what to tell you. It's a fact of life. We're going to take this audio because this way we can affect the two at once, and you can mess around, because if you don't like what you end up doing with this, it's fine. You just mute it and bring these two back. They're still there. You still have them. It's the beauty of MIDI. But the beauty of audio is you can chop it up and do stuff to it if you want. See what it sounded down. See what it sounds like an octave down. Just thicken it a bit. Got that lower octave. I could literally just copy down the MIDI down an octave and have it play both. But that sounds very clean and, I don't know what the word is, precise. This is just slightly muddier and sounds more like a real instrument. Like you often hear in certain beats, everything just sounds so precise and clean. It sounds like it was made in a DAW, which obviously at this point everything is. But by doing these little things that make it just sound a bit more real, like it could have been played by a human. Which is all we're trying to sound like. We just want to sound like we're played by humans, but more precise. I'll take out like the entire top end of the main chord sometimes, because like it's just so nice to have that room for leads, for ear candy, and most importantly for vocals. We're going to grab a mallet. There's a marimba in Logic, which is decent. So there's a few different ways to, I mean, marimbas are very common in Afrobeats. It's just that percussive but melodic sound is so unique. It's so beautiful. The fact that it's short and resonant, kind of like a drum, but it has a clear melody. Marimba is absolute genius. But it's used a lot, and there's a few different ways. Often it's kind of just used to give it a bounce, like on the offbeat. this one's the F. So G major, if you just drop it 2 semitones, comes F major. All the major chords are just a few semitones away from being each other. It's like poetry. So, I like this. I like this, hate the sound still. Classical electric piano, just tired of hearing it. There's another marimba. It's in the synthesizer. Where is it? Percussion. There's this realistic marimba, which is also this. So you see there's already 2 marimba sounds. There's realistic marimba, which is a synth being created by Sculpture, which is one of the synths. And then there's this marimba, which is basically just in the sampler, the ESX24. Okay, I think that we have as much as we need to start adding some drums. There's going to be more to this. It'd be cool to add some guitar if we had time, make it nice and authentic. But so I'm seeing a couple different trends in Afrobeats, well, more than a couple. But there's kind of like the UK producers. This is huge overgeneralizations, but let's just call it like the UK producers. There's just the drum sounds that people are using in the UK are more what you would use. They're playing the Afrobeat rhythm, but they're more the drum sounds you'd hear in a drill beat or a trap beat or a grind beat. So it's a bit more modern sounding, lots of 808s, and a bit less of the. They throw in some percussion to give the right rhythms, but less of the like actual percussion. You know, like wood blocks, cowbells, and things that and shakers as well. They seem to replace a lot of the shaker rhythms with just kind of drill hat rhythms. Having lived in Ghana, I still love the actual like percussion. So I'll usually start from there, and I'll start from the more African way of doing drums, and then usually by the end of the beat I'll throw in some drum sounds that are more drill-like, modern. Okay, where am I? There's the individual kits, which are cool and all, but I go to the performance patches because that gives me all of one type. Like all the blocks and bells are together from all the different kits. It's amazing, life-changing. Try it. Listen to that. See, that's the wood blocks, cowbells. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Let's try this. So that's a classic rhythm. Most of these rhythms are variations on the classic, which is tap, 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 tap. But then from there, if you just do that, that just sounds stock and boring. So you throw a note off every once in a while, you drop a note, and then you do a bunch of layers, and you get something that just has a crazy rhythm to it. So another layer with some wood blocks. Time to add some. I like that sound. I heard it before, but that'll be just some little ear candy. It's just there. See? Oh, now we're getting too excited. We need to add some shakers. Oh, let me just okay, pause. Everybody stop. We're gonna add on the stereo out. This is where it's going to your speakers, well, to your interface, to your headphones, to something. This is the last stop of the music before it leaves Logic Pro. This channel right here, stereo out, this last stop. So if you want to add something that is going to affect everything, you add it here. So I don't want to add anything that's going to change the sound that much. I just want what I like to call insurance, because I tend to get loud in my beats. You know, you get excited, you want it loud in your headphones. If you're mixing a song, you shouldn't be mixing loud. You should drop everything. But we're not mixing, we're creating. And when you're creating, you just want to hear it loud. So I add an adaptive limiter. A limiter is just stopping the signal at some point. It's saying you cannot be any louder than this, and you get to decide what this is. So I put this on pretty much all my stereo outs when I'm creating, because I just want to create without it peaking and distorting and going over the top. So you always drop the gain. I think they think you're trying to like master or something, so they always have your gain set at 3. You don't want it at 3. You want it at 0. You're not trying to boost anything. You're not trying to change the sound. You just want a insurance that you're not peaking. Your out ceiling is where you decide what your limit is. I always put it at 0.3 because basically I want it at 0, but I don't want it at 0 because it's too risky. But you just put it at 0.3, gives you that 0.3 room to make sure you're not getting close. And then your look ahead, you want it as low as possible because you want it to react as quickly as possible. So if I play this, you see it's coming in and it's not even hitting it yet. So we're good. We didn't need it yet, but we will. I can guarantee you. So put that on the stereo out. Make sure you're putting on the stereo out. Okay, shakers. The most basic rhythm you'll hear in a lot of, actually at this point people aren't even making these. There's so many loops of this particular shaker pattern in the Afrobeat community. You find it everywhere. Very basic rhythm. So just that. Quantize it nice. I'll usually change the velocity a bit so it sounds a bit more like a shaker. No, I didn't need to do that. These ones I want them to stay a bit loud. So it has that actual shaking feeling that one of the hits is louder than the others. Because if you've ever played a shaker, you know that's how it sounds. I like 2, if not 3, shaker patterns. Because, if not, why not, as Steve would say. If not, why not? If you can't think of a good reason to not do it, then you must do it. Now, top secret. So for this little secret, if you go in to make one of their drummers, they have all these drummers. There, Rose plays the modern R&B kit, and this is what she plays. So, cool. Good job. It's a beautiful rhythm. Not what we want. I don't really use these that much. There's some helpful stuff. Sometimes I'll use like a hat pattern. If you go into percussion, these 3 guys, Isabella, Quincy, and Finn, they are your friends. And you should get acquainted with them because they'll give you some nice little patterns. So if I'll choose Quincy. I haven't used Quincy in a long time. I don't want him to feel left out. So they give you some stock-like things, back to basics. So you could use the whole thing. I like doing my own cowbells and stuff. But let's just see what the shaker, kabasa, and tambourine give us. Pretty stock rhythm, but let's hear how it sounds together. So it just gives you this kind of like fill through. The other is doing a very specifically kind of like that West African gives you that rhythm, but this one's going which together fills it up so much. So you know it's a nice acoustic drum kit. Sounds really good. You go into Legacy, you go into the old Logic kits. I hope it looks like this. I know I'm using a slightly older version of Logic. I have a reason. I can't remember what it is, but there's a reason why I haven't updated it. So in acoustic drum kits, it's got, no, not toolkit, type kit, yeah. Just a nice big sounding kit. I like the toms. Some other toms, yeah, let's hear that. So we added in a fill, but I don't like leaving my fills in because they get tiring to the ear. We'll only use it sparingly, so for now we'll mute it. Let's see. I don't usually use samples that much. I have some sample packs. I'll use one-shots, but not the loops as much. But I downloaded this one, Afrobeats one the other night. This is bad form. You're supposed to put it into a drum sequencer or a drum sampler. I don't care. Because I know it's so good, you can do the velocity and stuff like that. You're basically turning it into MIDI. Wonderful. but I still don't care. It's something about the visual element. Also, because when I first started using Logic and I knew nothing about music production, I would do it all this way. And so it just reminds me of the good old days. So it's like this is what I'm saying. So we started in West Africa, and now we're doing more what the UK producers are doing. But that's what music is. It's an evolution. It's what's in here. Ready? So this little thing that I put here, these are just to give it some bounce. Listen to these two interacting together. Actually, let's do this way instead. Just a little flair. If not, why not? Then I'll add another one. Boom. I'll lead in to this, which isn't in the original one. So it'll sound, because there's two kicks now. They have a kick in theirs. I'm adding this kick. So to give it a bit of a bounce, because one of the kicks will not be there for a second. Actually, yeah, I'm going to add another one of those. I'm going to drop it down to a different track. So this is where all the other producers will be like, but if you're doing this in like Ultra Beat, you don't have to do that. Just change the velocity. And that's when I remind them that I don't care. So I just drop it to another track, drop the volume, and boom, I have effectively dropped the velocity. It's not right, but it works. The drums are almost there. I usually do it in this pattern, by the way. I start with the traditional percussive stuff, get the right vibe. I don't like to start with the because then I find I often make it too simple. I like that kind of that feeling that there's the main kick and snare kind of thing. There's the modern, compressed drum sounds. But behind it, you can't even tell what everything's playing, but it sounds like, there's like six guys with cowbells or blocks and shakers, that there's like a room full of people. I like that in my beats. It feels like there's a room full of people making the percussion. That communal feel, I just love it. It's way less sterile, and like you can't hear every little thing that's happening. Like you can't tell which one's the wood block or the cowbell or the shaker at this point. It's a massive. That's what I love. Okay, it needs something else here in this fill. I always can't help but work on the fills earlier than I should. I used to do really harsh cymbals like this, but in my old age, I like things to be a bit more chill, so I'll reduce the velocity. We need some more melodies in here. So, what else do they have in percussive? Kalimba. Kalimba, morph. The kalimba, but fun fact, the kalimba it's complicated because it's basically a Western imitation of a Zimbabwean instrument called the mbira. This is an mbira. Can you see this? Okay, this is an mbira, also known sometimes as the thumb piano. Just metal that you pluck with your thumbs or with your index. Beautiful sound. So kalimbas, my wife has one somewhere, I don't know where it is. But that's like a different version, which I don't really use much, because I just grew up with these, so I don't know. It's hard to get used to kalimbas. But they usually actually sound a lot less hefty than this. They're so high-pitched. They're much smaller and thinner on a kalimba. And they sound very like ding, ding, ding. They don't have that dung, dung, the presence of an mbira. So this kalimba, okay, optional is some ear candy. I'm gonna use arcade. I do like arcade. I like arcade for ear candy, and it's not that expensive. If you are making a lot of beats, it's worth it. It's one of the few that's really worth it. It's like $10 a month. So I just go into Hooked, which is like a bunch of vocal chops basically, and just look for some ear candy. So we're in C major. Keep it simple. Tell you what you wanna hear. Tell you. So copy that out. But what I might do, I'm gonna take this last little bit of the last one, drop it down to a different arcade. Same settings, same everything. I'm just going to change this one in one way. I'll take the pitch and drop it -12. So 12 semitones is in an octave. So if you're trying to change something by a full octave, it's always 12. Easy to remember. 12 semitones. Because no, this doesn't have black keys. Oh, it does. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. I actually like it like that. I think I'm gonna like it like that both ways. I like it like that. So then, if you're happy with it, bounce it. Commit to it. It's never coming back. This arcade uses up so much CPU that unless you have an amazing computer, which I don't, you just want to take these and delete it. They weren't hard to make. You can make 1,000 of those in a minute, so just delete it. But it needs some reverb. Let's see, would it be weird if we threw some panning in there? So if you put on latch over here, you can just play with it and it'll save whatever you do. Let's stop, take it off of latch, put on read. Basically, I just want it to be like, oh, she's singing in this ear, she's come to this ear, okay. Last thing, I swear, I'll leave you guys alone. It's basically just an EQ, but with 1 point. It's a low pass. You could just do it in EQ, but I like doing this one too. If you give different plugins a chance to work, they're all happy. But if you leave one plugin alone and you never use it, it's going to end up being really sad. It's going to make your computer slower. That's science. That's not an opinion. That's just pure science. So, little trick for a lead in like that. Nice. All right, thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be doing quite a few more of these, so if there's any particular ones that you'd be interested in, please leave a comment and don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.